What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We got Jason Null, guitarist extraordinaire, in the building here from a couple different projects, but you know him from Saving Abel. I know him from New Rebel. I don't know. What do you think, man? How you doing out there?
Doing good, man. How are y'all today?
Good. We just everyone tuning in for the audio here, only on Radio Wigwam. I think we lost your video.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
There we go. That's all right.
Yeah,
So
sorry about
what
that.
what you been up to, man? I know you're from people that don't maybe know you here. You're from Tennessee, and you've been rocking Saving Abel here since 2004, if I get that right.
Yeah. That was the first iteration, I guess, of what would become Saving Abel. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually from Mississippi, though. I was born in Memphis, but I still reside in a little town called Corinth in North Mississippi. But that's where Jared and I grew up at. So
Okay.
we small town, small group of musicians, and so it was inevitable, I guess, that he and I would find one another eventually.
Yeah. Was it like the Metallica thing where you put the ad out on not Craigslist, but like in the paper still, 2004?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a little older than Jared, so I had already been through the process of putting out a record, coming that close to getting a record deal, and uh, but he invited me, or somebody invited, no, his friend, we had a mutual friend, invited me to like a jam one night at a house party, and everybody was just getting up. It was like an open mic type thing. But anyway, I got up and grabbed a guitar, and Jared walked up and he was like, "Hey, play some of your sing bass stuff, and I'll sing one of them." And that was a band, my first band I had had some success with. So I
Okay.
began to play it, and I was like, nah. And I started to take the guitar off, and he's like, "Do you know anything else?" And I said, "What about maybe some Fuel?" And I think I played Bad Day or Hemorrhage or something,
Yeah.
and he started singing, and that was in his wheelhouse. And it was one of those deals where everybody was doing the scream new metal type thing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Jared was just a really good Southern rock voice, I would say. And so I just kind of swept him to the side and secretly was like, "Hey, we could really do something. I think if you'd be up to get together
Yeah. Did the style of like Creed, because I mean I was in high school during the time of all this kind of stuff going on. I don't know if Creed
Yeah,
influenced you guys. There was 3 Days Grace just started hitting the scene too.
yeah. So Creed made it into that ballpark for me before I kind of started focusing on my own music full
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of the grunge era, like Candlebox is one of my favorite bands of that era, and I got
Okay.
into everything, anything I could get my hands on back then. And then I have an older brother, 10 years older than me, so I got all of his '70s and early '80s rock. And
Nice.
then my mother was she loved music, so I got all the Beatles and Johnny Cash and just Johnny Horton things from that era. So
Yeah.
I had a pretty good. My feet was pretty wet in the area of being exposed to different things.
How did you
But
start off
it was a
learning
lot of a
learning
lot of different
guitar?
influences. So yeah, my brother plays guitar, and we had a little like 1970 Yamaha acoustic that I think my aunt had given him, and
Yep.
uh, it was one of those deals where like we grew up kind of poor, so like he would hide it when he left. But
Don't
I
play
but
it.
I knew the
Don't.
hiding spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he would come in and catch me banging on it, and be all mad for a day or two, and then I remember I came home one evening and my bicycle was missing, and I think I'm like 6 years old, and I'm all around the community yelling at all the kids, "Oh, you stole it!" or "Who's got my bike?" And my brother's driving down the road, and he rolls the window down on the old pickup truck and is like yelling my name for me to come, and I come running up, and he gets out of the car with like this, and I forget what it was, but it was a little acoustic, like a youth size, probably like a Sears and Roebuck type thing.
Yeah. Yep.
And he sit me down on the front porch and showed me the basics of Johnny B. Good. And I remember him being like so impressed that he took me around the community like it was kinfolk, you know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
knocked on every door, anybody that would answer, and I played that song probably 10 times that night. Probably had he not been so excited about how well I caught on, I probably would have never pursued it. But
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
feeling that came with that, and my older brother's approval, and plus I just love. There was always something about the sound of a guitar that gave me like a little butterfly feeling in my stomach since I was way little.
Yeah, it's a little boost to energy, little pick me up too sometimes, when you're feeling, I don't know if you find, for me, like if I'm not feeling that great or if I'm in like a certain mood, I'll pick up the guitar and just start playing. And I'll either feel better or the music comes out the way you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't stop
Music is definitely a mood. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
to answer your question, Frank, I was about 6. And,
Okay. Did he trade your bicycle in for the guitar? Is that what he did?
He traded my bike for the guitar. Yeah.
Dude, I never told you. I just did it.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to, like, I don't know, maybe halfway teach me a lesson about messing with his stuff,
Yeah, but he was being nice about it. That's good.
Yeah, little did he know that I didn't mind, after I learned a few chords. I was like, who needs a bicycle?
Yeah. You're like, well, I'm going to do this. So you continued all the way through high school. And when do you get like an electric guitar? Because you're primarily, I see you playing a lot of electric guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. So shortly after that, I traded a 22 rifle for my first Supro guitar. You remember Supro? They reissued those things here a while back.
Yep.
And then I had a little bitty solid state. I think it was a custom craft, probably another Sears and Roebuck type thing.
Okay.
That smelled like it was burning up every time you turned it on.
Yeah. Those were they didn't handle anything well.
Yeah, and I jammed that, and I had a first cousin by marriage through my stepfather, and he picked up guitar. So we went around to like community events and played things like Just a Swingin' and Johnny Be Good and sang, and that went on for about 2 or 3 years, and then we just fell out of that. And I was about 16, and this guy from Memphis moved down across the street. He had long hair, wore like Metallica shirts, and he saw the guitar in the house one day and picked it up and started banging on it. And he's like, "Can you play this?" I was like, "A little bit." I started playing, and he was just so enthralled with it. It kind of gave me the push, and so I was about 15 or 16 when I picked it back up.
Okay, so self-taught with some lessons and stuff like that, probably.
Yeah, never real lessons. My brother basically by ear, and so yeah, that's the way I learned. A lot, some friends were joking here a while back. The kids have it so easy this day, like with YouTube and it's endless.
You could just look up the tabs. We had to buy. I remember buying the Creed books and Metallica books and reading them and be like, I'm not exactly sure how to read this, but I know what the frets are.
Exactly. And I still have stacks of those, and I can remember thinking like my world had changed because prior to that, we lived out in the country, so we didn't even have cable, I think, until I was like 17 or 18.
Okay.
So my YouTube was a buddy across the highway recording MTV for me, and then me putting it on a little 13-inch black and white television VCR combo.
Yep, I remember those.
And if I was lucky, the pause button, the slow button would work correctly. But otherwise, I was pausing. Being like, I think Slash is doing a D chord there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The little 2 speeds. Some of them had like 2 little speeds on it for playback and reverse and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The fancy ones had like the slow and the super slow mo.
Yeah. It was tough because I had a few. I was mostly the DVD era, which was nice because you could pause it and then rewind it. But man, there was no YouTube. We're talking folks out there. Like we were saying, there is no YouTube at the time. Even 2004.
No internet.
Even 2004 when you started a band there. I remember I was watching Metallica and the Megadeth DVDs. They had like 1 or 2 out over and over and over and over again. Godsmack music videos. They used to sell disc music videos. I think you guys had one because I seen one in FYE a while back.
I think we had a couple things that happened. We did a live in Kuwait, and we did a Walmart sound check, it was called.
Those are cool. Those are cool when you're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun to do too. Yeah, we probably had a couple of things, and we had a House of Blues live we did one time, so it could have been one of those. Yeah.
Okay, those are usually the best. I haven't seen that one. I seen the Godsmack one. I remember that was pretty good because it's. Did you guys do acoustic or was it all electric? Because those are usually kind of like okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
going to let's talk with your new release first, and we'll work our way backwards a little bit. So you got Jared back, and you guys do an acoustic EP first.
Yeah.
What was the decision to do the acoustic and not like a full out rock thing first from with it returning?
So I think the acoustic thing for he and I it was kind of a way for us to get to know one another again. I think it was talking about 2004. That was, like I said, the first iteration of Saving Abel was he and I as an acoustic duo called Shade of Grace.
Okay.
And yeah, so a lot of the song ideas that went into the first record, independent release, and the major release were bits and pieces and or songs that he and I had just written as an acoustic duo.
Okay.
And I was in Nashville with our longtime producer Skid Mills, wrapping up a country project that I'm doing called South of Shiloh.
Yep.
And Skid was talking about maybe re-releasing like Addicted and a few others, re-recording them and re-releasing them. So we went to Skid pulled up what he calls the vault, and he recorded everything back. And so we like start going through all this stuff, and I happened to talk to Jared about business outside of being in a band together, and I told him about that. I was like, when you go back to Skid, you need to let him show you the vault, because it was pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Hearing the audio of us finishing Addicted acoustically on a couch, and
Yeah.
and I could go, and you know what I mean? Like, I always say music is the only, like, probably true time travel we may ever know. And
Yeah.
so I automatically, was back in that room, could smell the smells. But anyway, so, and he
I know what you
did.
mean.
And yeah, and a lot of that acoustic stuff was on there. So he called me shortly after that and was like, hey, what do you think? I mean, maybe we should get together and re-record these acoustic songs and do them right, the ones we never released. And I'm like, dude, I'm in, let's do it.
Wow, that's how it started. I could tell because Jared's voice too fits that acoustic style that you guys start a lot of the songs with the acoustic, with the songwriting, the lyrics. Because it was funny. That was one of my questions is like, how did Addicted to get there? And you just answered that. So that's cool. People don't know. They think, well, you just get together and you jam it. I think it's definitely more rare for you guys to do the acoustic thing and then maybe throw it to the electric version. But I'm sure it changed once you guys started rocking the releases after then a little bit.
It depends on what we're shooting for. Songs can come about in all different ways, but the main two are either Jared and I sitting around with an acoustic a piece.
Okay.
And swapping ideas and seeing what comes of it. Or, sometimes, like on records in past, we've got a great record, then we realize we don't have any like rock songs, like upbeat tempo, like New Tattoo.
Yeah.
Top songs. So, and then I'll just have Skid to bring up some drums, some sort of loop, and I'll just start jamming electric, and then we build the song around the riff. But I think, for the majority, Jared, the songs come about of a collaboration directly between me and him in the same room at the same time.
Yeah. I can tell that too. He's a singer, even though I don't know if he plays guitar at all, but he's very connected to the instrument. Where some singers, they sing to the song and you can kind of tell, you know what I mean? They're doing their own melody thing and the guitar's doing the other thing, you know what I mean? So
yeah, Jared does play a little bit, and he has I always thought he had a very unique delivery, vocally. That was one of the things that not only was he one of the first singers I'd ever, been in the same room with that could stay in key and sound like a record, but I just love the uniqueness of what he, how he approached his music.
And it was, I want to say 2012, you got me into a show at Clifton Park, New York for Upstate Concert Hall. And this is the Josh Brown thing I talk about because everybody who didn't hear the last interview, we just interviewed Scotty. Scotty was in Saving Abel as well. And there's this weird Josh Brown connection that I have because I started off with handing my demo to Josh, and then I worked with Day of Fire. And then from there, I did not plan this, but from there, it's been like all people that have worked with Josh that I've interviewed or worked with on my stuff or whatever. And down to Brian Craddock from Daughtry, because Daughtry toured with him and stuff. And I was like, this is so weird. And he's like, dude, Scotty says he lives right near him or something like that. And I was like, my God. But you did Project A New Rebel, which I still have on my computer. I never got a CD, but he sent me the files, and
Yeah,
I really like that. I really like it. I dig it.
that was a really fun time. Saving Abel was just, I don't know, kind of like getting ready to come off the road for a minute.
Yep.
And I say that we really never came off the road, but we were getting ready to take a small break to start a new record. And I didn't know what to do. So I immediately was like, had befriended Josh and Jonathan Montoya. And for those listening, they are the original members of a band called Full Devil Jacket.
Yep.
And in they are all from Jackson, Tennessee, which is about 40 minutes north of my hometown. So it just seemed kind of like a no-brainer. And that record that they did, Full Devil Jacket, their first release, was probably one of my favorite metal rock records I've ever heard. And that was before I knew they were basically hometown boys.
Yep.
But that was a really fun time. We got in the studio and threw 6 songs together, did a few shows, and had fun with it. I think that project could have went a lot farther, but I don't think it was the right time for any of us.
Yeah, he had went back to Full Devil Jacket too after and made that second record. Well, really the third record, but it's his second release record.
Right.
Yeah, yep. There's the whole other singer, and he was on half the record and that kind of stuff. And Scotty said he played guitar for him for some of the songs.
Yeah, he did. And so when we were doing the Bloodstained Revolution record with Scotty,
yeah,
Josh was doing the Full Devil Jacket record in the same studio.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you listen to those records, they might sound a little similar. Same studio.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
cool. Keith has a very unique style of drums, and I've worked with Michael McManus too, who drummed for you guys, and he's got a very cool style too. He was something kind of like a Three Doors Down type influence to me, with Queens of the Stone Age or 12 Stone. I think he drummed in 12 Stones. I think one of those bands.
He did. He was 12 Stone's drummer for a while.
Yeah.
I've had Mikey on several things I've done. Some of the stuff on the South of Shiloh, the country rock project I'm doing, he played 3 or 4 tracks on there for me.
Okay.
So yeah, I've tried to stay in touch with everybody through the years.
Yeah, I haven't heard from him in like 4 years because I know he kind of started teaching and he wasn't really into that stuff anymore. But I really liked him and I liked his drumming. I remember the last conversation we had. He was in the car or something like that. He's like, "I'm gonna be a teacher, man." I'm like, "Yeah."
So Jared and I just had the conversation a few days ago, but I heard Mike got married and maybe moved to Indiana.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, it's been maybe 3 years since I spoke with him.
Okay.
But I think he's doing good from what I hear.
Good.
Yeah.
Everybody out there, you're only listening here on Radio Wigwam. We're going to have the video version up. Make sure you head over to the YouTube here sometime. And we're only live on 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. UK time. So we're kind of all over the place here. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. Once again, we have Jason Null on the line. We got a few more questions here going on. And hopefully you guys, if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to tag Jason Null because I was going to go into your solo project here next. And I'm sure he'll get back to you guys. So what's you're involved with a lot of things, but how is that style different than I guess anything you've done so far?
I think most of the when you get into the business, you realize a lot of it's in production. Because Jared and I sat down when I sat down with Jared with an acoustic guitar, that it could be a country song right then. It could be like a pop tune, I can hear it. And I don't know if that's normal, but when I begin to write, I usually hear the song in many different forms. You know what I mean?
Oh, genres.
And and I explore that as I begin to piece it together and complete it. But as far as doing the country thing, it's really no different for me than to be with Saving Abel or whatever. It's just a little bit less distortion, a little bit less kick drum, and maybe no harsh vocals,
Yeah. Yep. A little more, a little less hard rocky.
Yeah.
Put it that way a little bit.
Yeah. If people go check it out, when we release the full length, you'll see how it ties together. It's basically a Southern rock record.
Okay. When's that come out? Do you know? Or
we just released our first single called After Grandpa and Grandma Are Gone. And the video went live yesterday. So you can go to South of Shiloh's Facebook and see that. You can probably find it on my page.
Yep.
And David Brazil is the guitar player. Uh, David is like almost like I would say a prodigy. And I met him backstage years ago at a show, and he wanted to show me his skills. So I handed him my guitar, and I was blown away. And I was thinking, there's no new guitar music like that. It's been, like we had Steve Vai and people like that, but nobody had really done that. So I hooked him up with then manager Jeff Hansen, and we ended up putting him a record together, and he recorded with members of Creed, Candlebox, Fuel, I don't know, several more people.
Wow.
My Dark New Day, I think, Brett Hessler produced the record, and he went on tour with that and had some radio success for that.
Wow.
And so, me and him got in a conversation about, hey, we ought to do something we haven't done before. And it was, what I call, maybe going back to our roots a little bit and just throw down some Southern rock country tunes. And it turned out really well. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And it's takes a certain style too to play that music, and certain type of player too.
Yeah. And when this full record releases, there's going to be people that are scratching their heads because he's a phenomenal guitar player. And we somehow blended, we somehow was able to use like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani licks in a country song. It's hard to explain. Yeah, and it's not really like a sore thumb. It's really good. It goes in there really well.
Yeah.
So I encourage people to check that out when it drops.
It's easy for us guitar players out there. Anyone out there listening who plays guitar, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it fails. You know what I mean? And sometimes you do it on purpose. Like I've messed around with the opening riff to Enter Sandman. I played it backwards, frontwards, sideways, whatever, just to get a different take on it and stuff. And it's always kind of a thing where some riffs you can't make your own even if you want to, like as an homage even in some parts. And that's one of the riffs, man. You just can't.
You picked the perfect example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of my favorite riffs, and I've done, like you said, I've dissected it, been through it backwards.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about gear really quick. What kind of gear do you use on tour, maybe versus studio? And do you have different techniques for playing out versus the studio?
Everybody say, hey, Jared.
Oh.
Hey, what's up? It's Jared from Seven Abel, man. How you doing?
Jason, his Uber was here, is all.
You're early.
Jared's cooking dinner. I think he was trying to tell me to hurry up.
Okay.
No, I was just hanging out, man. I was wondering who this guy was out on my deck talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So
somebody.
Yeah. So to get back to your question, I use Marshall mostly live, and I've tried all kinds of amps. There are some amps that I think fit me a little bit better on some occasions, but for the durability, the price, and it's a Marshall, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
I get that.
And I'm mainly a PRS guy live, but I do, I love guitars, so I have all kinds of guitars. I use, I really love those mid 70s, late 70s Gibsons, what they call the Norland era.
Okay.
And I've recently purchased several of those, and because it's a hassle to bring stuff in from the road, from the vault when it's in another state, and et cetera, back and forth. So I do have a separate kind of setup for studio versus live.
Yeah.
And in the studio, I still run a live amp, Marshalls, and we have a Bogner, and used a Koch a lot on the first records. I don't think we have that amp in the studio now, but I'm really open to the technology, and especially since like the cloning technology just came out.
Yep.
The
Axe effects units and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Kempers.
Yeah, and Skid has the bias technology in his recording software, and so we went in and just cloned several of our favorite tones, like the tone of the guitars in Addicted.
Okay.
Which was and I remember doing that, and that's like 4 different guitars, 3 different amps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I don't have to play it once.
Nice.
So,
to get that sound. Yeah.
And we're actually talking about maybe moving to some Kempers live, just for the sake of amps breaking and repairs and different things like that. which
I
I'll always have a Marshall on stage. But
I have an Axe Effects, and let me tell you, they are killer. The new model too. I have the floor model. It came out, and I had the Axe Effects 2XL Plus, whatever the last one was, and they do
Yeah.
work really well. The only thing I would say is if you're not going direct, guitar players out there out of the line, is you got to get a good cab simulator.
Right.
There's a handful. There's maybe like, I don't know, let's say 10 or something out there, main ones. They're not all created equal too. I bought in like 4 of them. Just be careful on what one you get, because it can really change the sound of, even like you said, your signature sound based off of the
Yeah.
simulator. But
Yeah,
they
I'll have
do
to,
work, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'll have to pick your brain about that, because I know that I'll probably need a cab simulator, and I've been doing a little
All
research
right,
on them.
I will send you one. This one is awesome. This one's the best one I've found so far.
Yeah, yeah. I'm historically plug it in guy. I have a wah, a delay,
Yep.
and a tuner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes most of the time I never touch the delay. So
Yeah.
all of this is going to be new to me. So
Yeah.
hats off to all of you guitarists out there who have figured all this stuff out. It's pretty overwhelming in my research I've been doing the last 2 or 3 months.
It's a lot.
What would be best for me? Yeah.
It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of buying stuff that necessarily you don't know if it's going to work, and then you just resell it or give it to somebody, or I don't know,
Yeah.
something. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of different combinations. I like to try to talk a little bit about sound, because so this is going to be, everyone out there, the last interview here in the apartment. Last June, I had a house fire, and I lost the studio and half of my house, basically. So we rebuilt it this year, and the new studio will be active by May or so. I've been setting up all my gear and all the sound panels and stuff again. And I've been going through the same thing that we were talking about with the straight in, the pedals versus the amp. And I do everything. I have a combination of the Axe Effects, a separate distortion Black Star tube pedal, and then I'll go with the amps, and then I'll run a direct. So I'm actually running like 5 lines, and then live I'll run 3 into 1 without the amp, and that's what I'd use. So I got the pedal running out of 2 different sides, 2 different sounds, and then the Axe Effects mono going out, and that goes right to the PA, which is cool.
I think I'll probably end up being. I think I'll probably end up having 2 cabinets on stage after once we dig into the digital.
Yeah, they look cool, but I agree. After a while, it gets, you don't want to lug that stuff around. You're like, just put a pedal board on a table. There's my amp, and like you said, here's a couple pedals, and let's go. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, if I had to unload this stuff, I'd probably I don't know if it's on like an iPad or an iPhone. I don't know if you can do that yet, but that's what I'd be using probably.
Yeah, like a phone, the cell phone. Plug in my cell phone. It's my amp right here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Jason Null, everybody, guitarist extraordinaire, Saving Abel. Make sure you check out the whole career of their songs, because the Scotty record, definitely listen to that too. I haven't seen Scotty live with you guys. I haven't seen him solo yet. I did see one of the last shows that Jared played with you before he had first left. And you guys, as I say, you guys never quite make it up to New York as much, because I know you're in the South. So maybe I'll catch you guys.
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah, you played at Trick Shots in Clifton Park, New York, and I was trying to open up for you guys for that show, but you guys had like 4 bands already. So that was the one time, I think it was like 2017 or something, that I think Michael was still playing at the time, and but I'll catch you guys somewhere again.
We get this record drop, we'll be back out there doing it.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. How many songs do you think are going to be on this record? Like, what do you go for now?
Probably 10, 12.
10, 12?
We'll probably have 30, maybe 40. I don't know.
Okay.
And I don't mean like complete, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there'll be that many ideas on the table to start, hashing through. And then I like to do, I would do a 20 song record if it were up to me,
Yeah. Why not?
That's one of my favorite things, being in the studio creating it. And
Yeah. Well, you know, it's people like me. I would listen to all of them. Yeah, I know some people their attention spans nowadays are like, you know, yeah, 8 songs or something like that. It's like the old days. The Metallica records only had 8 songs on it, but they had 5-minute songs apiece. So it's
Yeah.
like, all right, man, you know, longer songs, but you have less tracks. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I
I'm
was
looking forward to it.
yeah, I was just thinking about that, but yeah, I was seeing something the other day where they were talking about used to be like a 48-minute deal was like a record, and now it's down to like 36 minutes or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy though.
Yeah. I know the EPs are like 18 minutes, 20 minutes now or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, maybe we can get Jared talking on here sometime and see what he's been up to. I'm sure his story is pretty cool. I've tried to keep track with him over the years. So,
Yeah.
telling me he
Yeah.
has a very unique voice and it fits. Now I understand more that since you guys work together and it comes from the acoustic, tell him I can clearly hear that in all the music now.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yep. That was my one
Yep.
question.
Yep. I'll pass it along to him, and I can probably put in a word for you too if you want to interview.
Okay. Sounds good. When I get back into the house too, I will there's a new studio. I'll let you know and I'll be doing interviews probably in May or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
And sorry to hear about that, dude, man. I'm glad you got everything rolling again though.
it's crazy. You'd never think that it happened. It was from a lightning strike too, of all things, just completely random. I was ready to go live on Facebook, like playing stuff. And I thought about if I was plugged in and had my guitar through everything, that lightning would have traveled all the way up and probably killed me because I was in the next room when it happened.
It was a couple of years ago, and I was standing on my back deck, and I have 2 lakes behind my house, and it's scattered with trees.
Yeah.
But lightning hit a well-matured oak tree, split it in half, and it was on fire.
Wow.
In the center of it. I've never seen anything that powerful that up close before. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It was almost daunting to go back out in the rain when it was, storming.
Yeah, I'm still scared. Like if it started thundering right now, I'd be like, okay, guy, I love interviewing you. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go. So, which worries me because I teach guitar lessons too, and I'm like, I don't want to cancel a lesson because there's thunder, But I'm just you get that feeling, and you're like,
Yeah.
But you don't think that you're a survivor of it too. There's actually like groups and stuff I've read out there for that kind of thing, and I'm like,
yeah,
I just don't picture myself being.
There's things like that that can really mess with you. I fell asleep at the wheel one time, and I mean it was years before like I wasn't like shaky and nervous to drive after dark.
Okay, yeah,
so I know what you mean, man. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's crazy. So thanks everybody tuning in, Mr. Jason Null. Any last words here? Go free. Throw it into the fans listening out there.
So yeah, Jared and I have Saving Abel have a new record coming out, hopefully summer. And South of Shiloh is my side project. So give that some love.
I will. I'll air songs from A New Rebel. I'll just everything for the show.
There you go. There you go.
We'll hit them all. So
there you go, man.
Thanks everybody. Make sure you tune in here every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then 8 p.m. UK time from wherever you are out there. Tune in on our social media and feel free to tag any of us out there because we love the conversations. And as I say, download the songs. Don't just stream them, folks. Download them. It benefits artists so much more.
Yep.
Thanks, guys, very much. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Frank.